This video essay will explore the representations of women in film, particularly focusing on The Hunger Games, Brave, Drive and The Wolf of Wall Street. All four of these films have an interesting representation of women. However, it can be argued that the representations in The Hunger Games and Brave are a lot more positive and complex, whereas the representations in Drive and The Wolf of Wall Street are far more simplistic and archaic. The Hunger Games, released in 2012, has been praised for its representation of the female protagonist, Katniss Everdeen. The film provides a positive representation of women, as Katniss is strong, brave and defiant. She is independent and is far from the damsel in distress stereotype that is often seen in action films. The Hunger Games was the first film to hit box office revenue of over $350 million with a female protagonist. Throughout all four Hunger Games films, Katniss is represented as intelligent, powerful, and carries traits that are often associated with a male protagonist. The next scene really signifies this. This scene begins with a long, low-angle shot of Katniss walking out into the stadium full of people. This shot signifies her power as the audience are forced to look up to Katniss. The audience see her armor suit and bow and arrow. A long shot of Katniss walking towards the stage, people following her, signifies her to be a powerful leader. Next, the audience see a reverse shot of Katniss and President Snow, the man she's about to kill. Katniss's facial expression shows no remorse. She's focused on what she needs to do and shows no fear.
May your aim be as true as your heart is pure.
This scene displays her defiance against authority. She's far from being submissive. She's told to shoot President Snow, but instead hits Al McCoy, who's the hidden antagonist of the film. This portrays Katniss to be intelligent and not to follow orders. She is her own person. Brave, also released in 2012, has a strong female protagonist and has a narrative that focuses on healing a mother-daughter relationship rather than romantic love. It has been noted due to the amount of women that played a role in the creation of the film, with a female director and producer. Brave was the first Disney princess film where the main character subverted stereotypical traits of Disney princesses. The film made $540 million, making it a complete success. Much like The Hunger Games, Brave challenges traditional stereotypes. Merida isn't a typical Disney princess and is described as Disney's best feminist princess thanks to her fierce independence, courage and refusal to conform to any stereotype that doesn't suit her. The next scene is a great example of her defiance.
I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dunbrog, and I'll be shooting for my own hand.
What are you doing?
In this scene, Merida's suitors shoot arrows at a target to win her hand in marriage. Merida rejects the idea of marriage, and after all the men have taken their shot, she shoots for her own hand. The audience see a low-angle shot of Merida announcing herself to the spectators. Her appearance is different from a typical Disney princess, with her wild hair and mannerisms. When Merida goes to shoot her arrow, she rips her dress at the seams as it's too tight for her to shoot properly. The audience here gasps from the crowd, suggesting this isn't very ladylike or a feminine thing to do. She hits every target, showing the men up. The Wolf of Wall Street, released in 2013, lacks strong female characters and are portrayed as an accessory to the male characters. The female characters lack depth, strength, and are one-dimensional. The representation of women in the film may be due to the director, Martin Scorsese, whose films often lack strong female characters. In the upcoming scene, the audience are introduced to Naomi for the first time. The dialogue of the men is derogatory, sexualizing, and objectifying her before she's properly introduced to the audience. The main female character, Naomi, is a sex symbol, and her character only exists in relation to the main male character, Jordan. Naomi is a key example of the underdevelopment of female characters and is highly sexualized using the male gaze, theorized by Laura Mulvey.
Hey, JB, you gotta come check this fucking chick out. Look at this.
I would fuck that girl if she was my sister. I would let that girl give me fucking AIDS.
Let's see the wolf we handle this? Yes.
The misogynistic representation of women could be due to the time period the film is set in, where women are unable to lead lives outside their husbands. However, the sheer amount of sex scenes and female objectification forces women into stereotypes rather than creating dynamic, complex characters. Drive, released in 2011, gained critical acclaim and won the director, Nicholas Winding Refn, the Best Director at the Cannes Film Festival. However, it can be argued that the film's gender roles are based on the idea of medieval chivalric romance. In the film, women are represented as passive and naive and are even used as mise-en-scène to give exposition, rather than being complex characters. It can be argued that Nicholas Winding Refn doesn't sexualise the main female character, Irene. However, she falls into the archetype of the damsel in distress who needs male protection. The male protagonist, known only as the driver, makes it his mission to protect Irene. She's also there to confirm the driver's heterosexuality. In this scene, the driver protects Irene from the gunman in the lift. The audience see the driver realise the man in the lift is a threat. The scene then goes in slow motion. The driver pushes Irene behind him to protect her. His desire to keep Irene safe is due to his chivalric romance for Irene. Throughout the scene, Irene remains passive and defenceless, solely relying on the driver to save her. The driver ends up killing the gunman to save Irene. It has been argued that the archaic representation of women in Drive is due to Nicholas Winding Refn's focus on imagery and aesthetics, putting that over developing characters. When researching into our chosen films, we found that women were more involved in the creation of The Hunger Games and Brave, which may have led to the complex and less stereotypical representations. The Hunger Games was written by Suzanne Collins and also had 4 female producers. As well as this, Brave had a female director for part of the film, and through no lack of a coincidence have stronger female characters and complex representations for their protagonists. There are countless articles online providing evidence of a lack of female protagonists, and it's clear to see that the issue is spread across the whole of current and past cinema. This is evident in just a few of many statistics we discovered. In the top 500 films between 2007 and 2012, 28.8% of women wore sexually revealing clothes, in stark contrast to only 7% of men. Only 12% of all clearly identifiable protagonists were female in 2014. There is a 5-to-1 ratio of men working on films to women. Females direct more documentaries, 34.5%, than narrative films, 16.9%. In the top 500 films between 2007 and 2012, only as little as 10.7% of movies featured a balanced cast where half the characters are female. The imbalance of gender in the film industry can safely be credited for the lack of female protagonists in modern films. The Hunger Games and Brave are a rarity amongst a much wider spread and deeper issue. The same goes for Drive and The Wolf of Wall Street being only 2 examples in a field swamped with inappropriate and, more importantly, incorrect representations of women in film, spanning from the 1900s to modern-day film scenes.